we've played hundreds of shows as three, and this feels like Take That for I mean, you know what Rob's like. Next year, the year I don't know, he'll come back and go, should we do a tour? And we'll maybe do one.
Can I just say this is very exciting. Here we are, and there is just so much to talk about, because you have had, quite honestly, it seems like the busiest year. So Coronation Concert, British Summertime, the movie, obviously, and now we've got a new single out, new album coming out, and we've got the tour that's been announced, and a podcast.
Yeah, it's nice to be working, it really is.
Well, you've just been sitting with your feet up the last few years.
Exactly.
Some of us are.
Yeah. I don't think I know any band that's got a podcast.
Yeah, do you know, it came to us though, this, our label. It's a very tricky thing, because we go off and we've spent, 18 months, a couple of years writing and making this album. And every time this happens, you come back and go, right, how do we tell people about it? How do we reach people with this? And of course, in the last few years, everything's changed. Everything's different. And so the label came to us and said, listen, we can do this and Strictly and all these things, but we think a good idea would be if you actually talk to your fans through a long medium for it. So for us, straight away, being a band who've spent our whole life putting stuff into 20 seconds to try and tell people about your music, the idea of having 45 minutes, an hour to talk about what you've been doing, it's really interesting and good. Yeah. And if people have the patience to sit and listen to it, fantastic. So we're giving it a try.
It's so nice, because it's such a kind of one-to-one experience when you listen to a podcast. I've heard you on quite a few podcasts, actually, and it is a lovely, lovely way to hear your story, no interruptions. It's just really direct to the fans as well.
It is, and I think the thing behind the idea, which I really loved, was it takes you somewhere else. Podcast, but rather than touching on stuff of questions that you always get asked every time when you come to do promo, it's actually nice to sit around a table and discuss between ourselves our feelings of what we felt on certain things, certain album releases or certain tours when one of us got injured. And it takes you somewhere where I think that the fans and the people listening will really get their interest, thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I've heard all that, but I've not heard this before. This is new. Yeah,
I suppose as well, when you're talking, you can go off on a tangent and you can remember things that you didn't necessarily think about until you're chatting.
Yeah, it just allows the time to do that and ask each other, and you realise obviously people had different perspectives of sort of what was going on. When we were in this place, how did you feel? And you thought everything was like really brilliant, and then somebody else says, actually for me. So you get different perspectives on these times and I guess eras in our careers.
We've learned something about each other
just today.
I mean, I thought I knew everything about these two. There was so much we learned about each other.
I like those two.
I don't think you liked them.
I didn't
before.
To start with.
What's the longest period you've all had without being in touch and without seeing each other?
I think it was the noughties, because sort of from the end of we saw each other a lot though in that time. Yeah. But Mark was saying we may have all seen each other, but as a group, until that first meeting we did in 2006 or something, it's probably sort of 10 years we'd all been in a room together.
Right. I mean, that must have been quite strange then to get back together. I know I've talked to you about this before, but it's lovely now to just sit and discuss it all, and all those years, because there's quite a few years that you can discuss actually now.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first day you all met?
We talked about that today. Yeah, we did.
And we remembered absolutely nothing.
It was interesting because we were talking about how everybody felt. You asked us, how did everybody? What did you think of each other? Yeah. So it was interesting to go through those sort of times, and
especially when you know where it's led to. That you're in a room, and you learning a dance routine, or you singing a song, or who knew it was going to go where it was? I mean, you wouldn't even have a clue, would you?
No.
It could have gone to like even just the 90s version of where we ended up. But to be here after all these years, it's just a wonderful, wonderful journey.
Yeah. With another album as well. Amazing.
I know, and it does feel special and fresh, and you know, the early sort of signs we're getting is people like it, that's always a relief. But you know, even for us, we always say especially with new music, is that we do have an advantage, because I always think if I like it and Mark likes it and Howard we're probably onto something. We've got backup, we've got opinions to share amongst one another to really tailor that music.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not a musician at all, so I'm not sure how it works then. Do you all just come together, sit in a studio and get a notebook out and go, right, what should we write about in this first song? Or have you got ideas and you all bring them into the mix?
Well, before that, I always think the most important thing of any situation is don't repeat something you've done before. Is never go back there. Even if you think, oh, that was a lucky album, do it differently. I always think try and approach it so it feels new.
So that's why there's a different sound this time.
Yeah, I think so. But I actually think that one thing that was interesting about this record that's been different was that we've kind of all gone off, found ideas and brought them into so rather than sitting around a piano and going, right, anyone got anything? People have gone, well, I've got 4 things. I've got 2 lines of verse. I've got a whole chorus here. And we've gone, okay, I like that one. Let's do it. So individually, we've all had time to come up with stuff outside of the pressure of being in a room with the 3 of us.
I'd love to know what happens if someone brings something and the other 2 are going,
yeah.
Do you go, that, yeah.
Interesting.
Or, oh, good.
Yeah, very interesting. I think that was always a worry, you know, when you go off and you write individually and you bring it into each other. It's always a worry that, you know, because you're so into your songs and, you know, and then all of a sudden you're playing with the other guys, you're always worried about being, them having an opinion on it and what they may not like about it, what they may want to change in it. And you're like, yeah. Hang on a minute, the song's great. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, but it's brilliant because it's great to get everyone's opinion, and that's then when the co-write begins, when something needs changing in a verse or a lyric needs changing, and that's where we all get together, and we get the song that we want. Then
it's never going to happen that either of these are going to bring in something no one likes. It's not going to happen. It's going to be good. If they're coming into the room with it, it's going to be good.
Okay, so this live new album, we've heard Windows, which I like. How would you describe the sound that you're going for in the new album?
Well, Windows was the starting point, and I think if there was one theme that I could sort of talk to you about, it's that actually we've gone back to our voices. I think we've featured our voices more than we've ever in years, really. We've really celebrated Mark's strength, Howard's strength, my strength, and make it. There's some of the songs where we start and end and we all sing everything. So it's really a celebration of the harmonies and the voices.
What about dancing? Where's that going to go? Because that,
we actually, you know, when we are writing songs, we always, in our heads, we always have the vision of how do we, that you can actually do dance routines to. So it's not like out and out pop. It's really organic, acoustic, lots of instruments on there. Lots of guitars, and it's just a beautiful songwriter's album, I would say. You know,
and we've talked about this a little bit between us when we were choosing who we made the album with, but it definitely leaned towards a sort of that southern sound that America has. It's not country, it isn't country, but it's got that a little bit of Americana. So when we went to Dave Cobb, who's our producer, we knew we were bringing that into it, and the flavour the small amount of flavour that we had in our demos, he really brought that authenticity of, I think, the South. And you think of sunsets, like those beautiful southern sunsets in America. I think that has made, because we were there making it with that are all around us. I think the environment you make music in often makes its way onto the sound as well, and it definitely did with this.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited here. It's out at the end of November as well, and then already tickets have gone. Yeah. How excited are you about going on a big tour again?
Massively excited. I mean, I think we're just really. I think we keep saying it, especially this week. I feel like we've been saying it a lot. We're just really pleased to be able to still be doing it. You know, to be making music. When we all got back together in the studio to start, we actually met in Nashville, and we met in this amazing studio. And just to sort of say, right, we're all going to Nashville to start recording a new album, and that excitement came through into the music, and now that's coming through into the tour. We're really excited about getting out on the road next year. It's been a long time. I think the last time we toured a new record was 2017. We did a Greatest Hits in 2019. So we just want to get up there and it's, you know, it's really nice to have a job and have that what you're doing. I like saying to people, oh, I'm going to be a bit busy next year. I'm on tour. You know, it's nice when, you know, when you can say that.
Yeah, I know what's going to happen to your golf. Nightmare.
He said join the game.
Yeah, I'm taking them.
Okay, that's good.
100%. I had a piece of paper at home with the list of tour dates, and at the side I was like, right, where do we play golf? Right, okay, Scotland, Loch Lomond. Right, and we're in the Midlands. I'm going to do the Belfry, and I wrote these at the side. And my wife had the piece of paper, and she said, "How are you playing golf on all these dates when you're supposed to be coming home?"
We're like, oh yeah, about that.
That old one.
You play golf though, I heard.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
do either of you?
No. Do you play a lot?
Well, as much as I can.
Really?
As much as I can.
We still haven't played it, have we?
No.
We have to play a game.
He mentioned that this morning, Howard. He said, "Oh, I've got to play."
When you say as much as you can, how often is that?
Well,
then?
it's quite long to play a round of golf, as we're saying.
Right.
So it just depends on work, really. So the more golf I can play, the less busy I am work-wise. Or I just squeeze it all in. That's it. You just have to. But that must be the same for you, because if you're away from home doing the tour, you don't get to be at home as much. Is that something that you miss, or are you looking forward to being on the road and kind of being pop stars again?
Oh, we love that bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit of a joke amongst us, isn't it? But it's like going on holiday, going on tour for us. It is. I mean, there's just no downside. And the fact that you go on at 8:30 every night to entertain all those people, it's just bliss.
Yeah.
It really is the best.
Can we talk about, you've had a couple of massive concerts this year. Obviously, Coronation.
Yeah.
I mean, that was brilliant. You've finished the show and everyone was loving it.
Oh, so good. It was so good. It was so good to be able to say, "Oh, I'm busy tonight. I've got to go and do a performance for the King."
Yeah.
You know, he was like, "The King?" I was like, "Yeah, the King, yeah."
Was there an after party?
It was funny, that gig, because I mean, as amazing as it was, I was more nervous of performing in front of a crowd again, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it was our first time back.
The royalty thing wasn't even in my head. I was just thinking about performing in front of the crowd and actually making sure I got my lyrics right to never forget, because I mean it was incredible, and it was very emotional the next day. I mean, I remember going to Heathrow because we had to fly to America, and just again everyone was recognizing you and wanted pictures, and it was too much. It was actually too much for me. I thought, oh, I've got to go back here again.
You know, there's always a story that no one knows about, but right before we went on and did our thing at the end of the Coronation, we were stood like hiding behind this little wall so we couldn't be seen. They said, hide down there. So we were hiding down there, and we all looked up, and Katy Perry was on, and we could hear all the drones were doing.
Yeah,
and we were like, oh my God. And there was Windsor Castle, and we were just like, this is incredible. We had the best view of anybody. I hid behind this wall, then we heard our names, and we just went on.
Bizarre, wasn't it?
It was weird. It was weird.
What an amazing gig.
It was brilliant.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it was so special.
Yeah.
Just for us to be back together in front of an audience, such a big occasion.
Yeah.
You know, playing. I mean, when Howard did Never Forget, and all the different parts of obviously the
drummers and
the choirs, all the people from all over the country, all, you know, different places of work.
Yeah.
I don't know who everybody was, but there was like at the most people. I think there was 900 people on stage with us doing Never Forget.
Oh
Yeah.
And when
Which
that,
was
when that choir
absolutely-
started, I was thinking, right, I'm going, hold it together.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was
The
thinking,
boys' choir, it was-
quite emotional listening to this choir.
Yeah, it
And I've
was
got
so
singing in it.
so special.
It was high
to do
pressure
it with all
though.
them people.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I mean,
And Howard did a great job.
he did a great job. We all did
I
a
was
great
going to
job.
say everyone did a.
I felt like you had one each, and that's
we
the way
did.
it worked. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
What I love is the fact as well that there are so many new generations coming through. Like my daughter just turned 12, really doesn't appreciate the fact that you used to be 5. As far as she's concerned, take that, or 3. Is this just feels comfortable as a 3 now? That's the way it is.
Yeah, we've been a 3 since 2013.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I know. We've played hundreds of shows as 3, and this feels like take that for I mean, you know what Rob's like. Next year, the year I don't know. He'll come back and go, should we do a tour? And we'll maybe do one. But this is take that right now, and it's lovely.
But then do you find as well, like my daughter, who also is completely into all the songs you've got, and probably as well because she hears us playing them, and so she now completely knows all the music. Do you find that new generations are coming through, and you've got even more fans, different ages now?
Yeah, it is like that. Yeah, you're right. It's we saw massive changes after the 90s when we first got back together again, and then we started doing these concerts, and then you'd have the wives or the ladies bringing their guys along with them, and then the next minute you see the daughters and the children, and we knew that quite a lot of the boxes at certain arenas were booked out by men's stag do's, and it was like, hang on a minute, this is people are really entertained by this thing, whatever you are. We've seen a massive change, and it's great.
Oh no, it's so good. I've got a few questions I want to ask.
Please.
I want to know if you're still bitter about the fact that Mr. Blobby got to number 1 instead of Babe.
Very bitter. Very bitter. It's a travesty.
I know. It felt wrong. It felt like you were robbed.
We were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Completely robbed. I can't remember when it was now. It was something like it was while I was on X Factor. Mr. Blobby turned up on a show, and I had a right good dig at him. Dragged him off the stage, kicked him into the wings. I quite enjoyed it. And I'm not a violent person. I'm a very peaceful man.
Bet you're not.
But I feel a lot better after that.
Sometimes it's called for it though, isn't it?
Dragged him off. And kicked him
I heard that was an 80-year-old man in that blobby suit.
a veteran.
I've got a few other questions. They're kind of like quick fiery, but maybe not quick fire actually. Out of all the songs you've done, which is your favourite? You must have
You got
one.
us thinking now.
I mean, there's ones you could have a personal favourite, or you could have a favourite for performing. You love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say, everyone's going to have different answers, I reckon. I'm going to say our latest single, which is Windows. I believe it's a real milestone in where we've come from to where we are now. And I think it's just a great performing song. You feel great singing along to it. I think it's a full package.
Okay.
I love singing Rule the World. I always think it always ends up near the end of the set list as well, and it's just like everyone lights their phones up. It's a real moment at the shows. Always look forward to it.
Yeah, it's a good one. Never Forget, probably for me, always has felt special for us as a band, just because it feels like it's the story of the band a little bit, but it also resonates so much with so many people, and when you see
that happened.
When you see that happen,
it's pretty mega.
When I was at uni, that song was released.
We've heard that.
And whenever you went to a club, there's like the midnight hour, and they play Come On Eileen, and they play Tainted Love, and they play James Sit Down. They would also play Never Forget. And it was one of those iconic songs that would come on at like midnight, and everyone would just go crazy.
Yeah.
What would yours be then? Would you say Never Forget?
Out of them all, Never Forget I love.
Yeah.
I love Greatest Day.
Greatest
I like
Day.
The Flood.
Yeah.
The Flood.
Flood's a big one, yeah.
I like those, but I think Never Forget's iconic, isn't it? It's a good one.
Yeah.
But I like Windows. I really like Windows.
Yeah.
And I've heard it only a few times because obviously I just heard it yesterday for the first time. But I really like it, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the album. I'm really excited. What a busy year you have to come. Mark, Gary, Howard, thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
So good to see you. Thank you.